Comic fans, webheads, true believers, are you ready for another episode of Worthy Ones, the video series where I take all the newest #1 issues that I read for the comic book week and I deem them worthy or not worthy. This week, guys, we have 6 issue 1s to talk about, so let's get started. So the first book we're going to be talking about today is the Giant Kaiju or Kaiju issue 1. So this book is about a gigantic monster that is destroying all of San Francisco. Now the artwork is actually pretty good in this comic book. However, I do feel like it's wasted at times, just putting stuff on pages that is just not necessary, and I just feel like it's just cheap toilet humor, which is not fun for me at all. At first, when I was looking at this book in my comic book haul, I was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool, it looks really good. And then there's stuff where the giant beast winds up pooping all over people. It actually winds up having a scene in here where it's mating with a building, which is totally not necessary. It's like a waste of pages for me in here. Like, you actually get to see him thrusting this building, and then you will actually get to see his private parts as well. Like, who wants to see that? That's so not necessary in this comic book, you know? So for me, in very many ways, this was just like wasted art. And the other part of the story here, when it comes to this book, is we get to see the military leader actually try to recruit a retired agent or scientist or whatnot by the name of Frank. He wants nothing to do with it. He hangs up the phone with him, and then you wind up seeing like the FBI agents wind up capturing him, and they're going to take him in whether dead or alive, and that's basically it. I'm going to deem this book not worthy. Yeah, this is something I just don't care about. It just had potential to be good. They tried to be funny with it. They tried to be grotesque about it, and it just didn't work for me. And, you know, Jerry Duggan's political views are they're just not needed here. It's obviously about climate change, why this creature exists. There's other things that he tries to sprinkle in the comic book as well. And again, when it comes to political views, you're fine with what you believe in. I don't hold you against your views, but I hate when they're forced in comic books, and that is truly, said here in this comic. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna give this book a C-. It had good potential. I like seeing the beast. I like seeing the mayhem in the cities, but again, I could do with all that, political nonsense. Okay, so the next book we're going to be talking about is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Usagi Yojimbo. This is issue 1. What a great cover here by Kevin Eastman. This is probably one of the main reasons why I bought the comic to begin with. A very nice cardstock cover, which you can appreciate here. It doesn't fall apart in your hands. And when I look at the artwork in this comic book, this just reminds me of comics that I read back in the 80s or early 90s when it came to like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Usagi Yojimbo. Even the dialogue, the font, and everything about it just brings me back to a simpler time. Now, I don't know too much about Usagi. I honestly don't. I just thought he looked cool, and I liked all the action scenes that he was in. But being that he was teaming up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I was like, oh, cool, let me check this out. And we wound up getting to see Usagi go on this mission that try to stop these creatures, which I don't even remember the names that they called them. And I was like, okay, well, when are the turtles going to come in this comic book? So it wasn't through like page 13 is when you actually start to see the turtles come in. And then I wound up seeing myself like vested in the whole thing. I was like, okay, here we go. Now I know what's happening. And we get to see the turtles go out on this mission. And again, these are the turtles that I kind of remember when I was younger. They're drawn a little bit more, I don't know, loosely, not as tight in this comic, but they were still entertaining, and I love their personalities. But they were trying to stop this guy that's like a Kane character, where this guy is trying to fix his past by going into the past, and the turtles are trying to stop him. And what it all does at the end of the day, it winds up leading back to going into Usagi Yojimbo's time, and that's how they wind up meeting up with each other, and that's how the last page ended up here. So at the end of the day, what am I going to deem this book? Well, I'm going to deem this one worthy. That's right, guys. I thought this one was a lot of fun. This is something that I feel like all ages can actually read, right? This is a book where you can take your son or daughter and be like, hey, I read this when I was a kid. There's no real blood. There's no real violence. You can get them introduced to two groups of characters at once. The artwork is fun. If there's a thing that I can compare the artwork to, it very much feels like Dogman artwork, right? When you're looking at that comic book, I was like, oh, wow. So at the end of the day, I'm going to give this book a B-. Yeah, I thought it took a little while to get to the point where I was, got invested into it. But once the turtles were there, I was all in. I was like a little kid again. And now that they're crossing over and crossing paths, I think this adventure is going to be a lot of fun. And I think second issue, you're going to see a battle between Usagi and the turtles. And that's what's going to make it totally entertaining. So the next book we're going to be talking about is The Great British Bump Off. This is issue 1. This is from Dark Horse. I wasn't going to pick this up, and then I heard about it, and the concept seemed pretty cool. I guess there's a bake-off show that takes place in the UK or something like that, but here there's a murder mystery attached to it. And it's not actually a murder, it's actually where someone gets severely sick or poisoned, and someone is supposed to solve what's going on. So again, it's a reality show about baking. It's the UK big tent type of thing, and you get introduced to a bunch of cast of characters here, which is a lot of characters. It's hard to get to know them all, but you got to appreciate the artwork in this comic book. It's got bright, vibrant colors. I love all the characters' facial expressions, and what those facial expressions do is that it really brings the characters alive. So as a reader, you can appreciate that, and by them showing those different types of facial expressions, you get to get an understanding of what their personalities are like, okay? So our main character here is in this bake-off, and they were going to cancel this show because this illness happened, that someone sabotaged this person, right, from competing in the show. And this main character here, I don't know, what is her name, Sasha or something weird like that, Shauna. She is the one that sits there and says, well, you know what? I'm going to solve the mystery because I'm a student, I'm learning, I'm doing all these different things, and I can solve this mystery before the end of the first episode so we can keep filming. And the producers are like, okay, fine, let's go ahead and let's do that. So in the comic, you wind up seeing her bake, and you wind up seeing her interrogate all the different people to try to solve everything that's going on. I'm going to deem this book not worthy. Yeah. Some of you may actually like this, and if you do, that's totally fine. But this is a book that's just not for me. I don't care about this girl. I don't care about the characters in here. I don't care about the guy who didn't get murdered. He just got sick. So that makes it less, entertaining for me. So I don't know. I'm going to give this book a C. I thought it was a cool concept. I thought it could have been a little bit edgier, but it's just not my cup of tea. There's too many other comic books out there that I'm more interested in than the Great British Bump Off. So yeah, it's a pass for me. Captain America Cold War Alpha. Every event these days has that alpha in it. Artwork in this book though was really nice, man. I'm not gonna lie. When I read this book and I saw the artwork in here, I was like, holy cow, check it out, man. Looks really good. There's a lot of explosive action in here. There's all the different types of characters that you would love in the Captain America series. Check out Falcon here. He looks absolutely gorgeous. I mean, just the time spent on the art in here, I really appreciate it. And I'm not a huge Captain America fan. I like Captain America, but there was a Captain America series that I never really enjoyed, and when this came out, I kind of wrote this one off and I never got into it. But let's talk about the story of what happens here. So we wind up getting to see White Wolf. He gets busted out of jail. Bucky Barnes is, for some reason, a traitor. and this White Wolf character opens up Dimension Z, and now he's in charge of Dimension Z. And then we wind up seeing, I think it's Peggy Carter captures Nomad Ian, who is Captain America's son, brings him to Dimension Z, and then we get to see Captain America, we get to see Falcon, we get to see Sharon, and we get to see Misty Knight. All those people team up together to try to go to Dimension Z and rescue him. And along the way, there's battles, there's action, there's explosiveness. I mean, it really ramps up in this issue. And, as a Captain America fan, I'm sure you appreciate this, right? So I'm going to deem this book worthy. That's right, guys. I think this is worthy for you. However, it's not worthy for me. I have not got invested into the Captain America series from the start, and I just don't feel myself wanting to continue it, even though I did think it was a action adventure Captain America driven event where people are going to enjoy. So at the end of the day, I'm going to give this book a B. This was really good, but I just feel like if you're a non-Captain America fan, I don't know if you're really going to care about it. But let me know what you thought in the comments below. So this next book we're going to talk about, I was a little hesitant about. This is The Seasons Have Teeth. This is issue 1. The title of this comic definitely makes sense because this is a book about seasons, and they're not just like normal, spring, summer, fall, or winter. They're actually living beings. And when certain seasons come around, they come and they basically destroy towns and cities and all kinds of things like that. Let's check out the artwork in this comic. The artwork looks pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I love the facial expressions in here. We have a reporter or a photographer by the name of Frank who is living on his own, and he's experimenting or taking pictures of these seasoned creatures, okay? And we learn a little bit of our character Frank. He is a photographer, and he stays around to take the picture of these seasons, and as the reader, you learn what spring is. Spring is a plant-like beast where he's following around that's taking over the entire town, right? And everyone evacuates because in the past they have destroyed or killed people. Well, in this issue, this was the first time where human beings actually touched a season, a living season, and they survived, and it kind of got along with human beings. And he broke the article or the news piece on this situation that happened, right? And we also learn about his wife, his past, and his wife on how she died and all this other stuff like that. I'm going to deem this book worthy because I just have so many questions. Like, why are seasons alive? How did this come to be? And why is Frank the one taking these pictures? And I'm sure in every issue we're going to get introduced to fall and winter and summer, and what are these things going to be like, and are they going to get along with the civilians and whatnot? So I don't know, man. This book was weird, off the wall, but I gotta give this one an A. I really enjoyed it. It was so original and so different, and it was such a page turner that when I got done with it, I wanted more of this. So very original concept. This is what this book did right what The Neighbors didn't. It introduced you to a main character. You know who the main character was. You know what the enemy is, or the creature is, the season, and what it represents. And there's a hook there, unlike The Neighbors. God, I still can't get over that comic, how bad it was. But I definitely recommend this book. So here's probably one of the more anticipated comics of the week when it comes to Marvel fans, or maybe just comic fans in general. This is Guardians of the Galaxy. This is issue 1. Great cover art here by Derek Chu. And this one is written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing. This book's artwork was pretty good. I mean, it's not my favorite artwork, but it's fine. There's certain pages that just are better than other pages. Like, I love this Gamora page. I think it's great. And then sometimes the characters look a little bit, maybe overly cartoony, like Mantis here. But nevertheless, It was fine. I love the colors of the comic book. They really pop. And we get to see, you know, all of our Guardians of the Galaxy heroes here, except for Rocket, right? We get to see Mantis. We get to see Gamora. We get to see Drax. We get to see Nebula. We get to see Star-Lord. And what this book is basically about is our Guardians of the Galaxy are trying to save this civilization from a threat. Now, the last time we saw the Guardians of the Galaxy was in Al Ewing's series. We had a Donny Cates series, then we had an Al Ewing series, and I dropped it because I didn't like it, so I don't know exactly 100% what happened to the Guardians, but they're like on the far reaches of the universe. They're like in this western planet, and again, we get to see them try to rescue this civilization. And there was a lot of action in this book. It definitely was a page turner because the threat that they're facing is Groot fall. And Groot has become some crazy, menacing beast, and we don't know what happens, but he's consuming the entire planet, and it's a race against time. And we get to see all the odds. You know how Han Solo is like, never tell me the odds. Well, Nebula tells Star-Lord the odds of survival, who's going to die, who's going to survive, and stuff like that. And it was just a great read overall, just very entertaining, and it definitely has me excited for the next issue. So I'm going to deem this book worthy. That's right, guys. This book was great. This is something that you definitely want in your first issue comic book because you get an adventure of characters that you haven't seen for a while. They're rescuing a civilization of people. You don't exactly know why, and then you get revealed that at the end, and of course you don't expect it to be one of your favorite heroes that was part of the team, that was the threat. And so by the time you get to the end of the issue, you wind up sitting there going, man, what happened to Groot, right? And so we got to get those questions answered. So that was a great first issue, and my only gripe about it, though, is just the art wasn't consistent all the way through. I thought it could have been a little bit better, but it was fine. So at the end of the day, I'm going to give this book also an A. This was a solid read. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot better than I thought. I had my reservations when I first read it, but after digesting it a little bit and thinking through the process of the comic, I sat there and I said, you know what? I really like it. And the more I talk about it, I like it even more. So I want to know in the comments below, what are your worthy and not worthy comic books this week? And of course, guys, if you love the content, yes, you know the drill. I'm going to leave you more content right here. In fact, that is my newest new comic book day haul with everything I picked up. I picked up some great keys this past week. And of course, guys, as always, keep buying, keep collecting, but more importantly, always read your comics. Guys, thank you so much. I'll see you real soon.